DJM TV.
Buhari, Buhari, Buhari. We move.
It is evident throughout West Africa, and it is certainly evident in Nigeria. Throughout my mission, I was made aware of that degradation and of its impact on people's livelihood, on people's resources, and on people's culture, on people's way of life. And I can assure you that there is no doubt in my mind that the failure to respond to that environmental degradation is no doubt feeding many of the conflict we are talking about right now. And finally, the fourth issue I want to raise for the context is the proliferation of small and military-grade weapons that are made available, that are feeding, that are increasing the lack of security and insecurity and the lethality of the conflicts that are taking place throughout Nigeria. The proliferation itself is linked to what's happening regionally, but it is having a dramatic impact on the conflict we are talking about. So in that context, I think, in my opinion, addressing the regime of impunity, the breakdown of the rule of law, does demand on our part to contextualize what's happening. And it is very clear, based on history and on other situations, that tackling human rights violations in Nigeria does also demand addressing the climate crisis. It demands addressing the population crisis and the incredible economic inequality in the country. The last point I want to make very quickly is a thought and an exchange I have with some people who are far more knowledgeable about Nigeria, because sometimes I do wonder, where do we look at? As Netsanet has pointed out, as Amsatu has pointed out, there is either no investigation and no prosecution, or there is a plethora of administrative and judicial inquiry which are just whitewashing the situation. They are just a facade, they are a parody, they are meant to do a lot of things, but certainly not to move us closer to accountability. So where do we look for hope inside the country? And I'm going to say we look for hope with the people. And I think what happened a few weeks ago with the large demonstrations, which were neither ethnic-based, neither religious-based, but which meant to be about Nigeria, and which demanded an end to police violence, demanded an end to the infamous SARS. To me, those moments and those movements should give us hope that the young population of Nigeria, the new generation of Nigeria, the more educated generation of Nigeria will be the one who are going to say to the old generations, enough is enough. We are going to take care of our country. We are going to go and address those endemic questions and those violations. So I think we need to place our strategy for the future squarely with this very vibrant civil society and youth population of Nigeria who wants far better for their country than their elders have managed to achieve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Agnes. Thank you for these words that give hope, and also for adding elements of context that make it even more urgent to address human rights violations and impunity. Rod Rastan from the Office of the ICC prosecutor is here with us. You have heard all the panelists. There is a lot of expectation and also around this decision. So you have the floor.
Thank you. So I'm very honored and pleased to be on this panel with such distinguished colleagues. And indeed, the Office of the Prosecutor of the ICC has been examining what's been going on in Nigeria for a long time. We call this phase, before we open investigations, preliminary examination. It doesn't mean anything to, I think, most people, but it just means that it's a stage where we're determining whether we should open investigations. And it didn't take us long to conclude that crimes were committed within the court's jurisdiction. So the court deals with war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. And the crime of aggression more recently has been adopted. So already in 2013, we concluded that crimes have been committed. At that time, our conclusion was focused on alleged crimes by Boko Haram, but in subsequent years, we updated it, and we also included our findings with respect to the Nigerian security forces. And what we basically did, as Natsanet mentioned, is that the court as a whole, as a principle, and particularly the Office of the Prosecutor, is always trying to hold states to their own duty to investigate and prosecute. And our system is set up, as you know, as a complementary mechanism. We're supposed to step in if the national response isn't effective or isn't genuine. So the position we took, as we do with with all states, with Colombia, with Kenya, with Afghanistan, or across the board, we try to promote national proceedings. And of course, we engage in a dialogue with the Nigerian authorities. I know we've been criticized for doing that for too long, or that some people feel that dialogue was not a good idea. But certainly on our side, we have always sought to try to create incentives or to offer if you like, the threat of the ICC intervening in order to create a momentum domestically to have national responses. So we call this dual aspects of working in partnership with states, but also being vigilant. If they don't act, then we should act. And I think certainly our conclusion after this long period is that although we've engaged in many missions and we have worked with the prosecuting offices, and we've seen some progress, and of course the Special Rapporteur Agnes Kalamard also mentioned some of the progress she's seen as well in her reports. We've seen some progress, and certainly we continue to encourage that. And I think the fact that we have concluded shouldn't be a sign of discouragement for those people within the justice system that are seeking to bring accountability, and we continue to encourage that. But at the same time, we also concluded that in terms of what we would look at in terms of alleged war crimes or crimes against humanity, the national proceedings as they exist didn't seem to be an obstacle or to correspond to what we were likely to want to investigate. So the prosecutor has, as I say, given a lot of time and effort to help to encourage the national response, but ultimately we concluded already last year, we said we were likely to conclude our assessment this year, and this year now at the end of it, we have indeed confirmed that as things stand, there is a basis for the court to proceed because the national response doesn't correspond to what we're looking at. Now, at the same time, of course, as Nathan mentioned, we will continue to encourage the authorities to do proceedings. If our announcement acts as some kind of a spur, an incentive to galvanize a national response for accountability, then of course we welcome that and we continue to support that. At the same time, if not, then we stand ready indeed to carry out our own investigations. So in the coming period, basically we are continuing our forward planning for investigations. We do have the limitation that Natsana mentioned, that the ICC is a court. It sounds like a very ominous title to be called the International Criminal Court, but we are a court with limited capacity. So we are currently investigating multiple situations around the world in everything from what's happening in the Central African Republic to the DRC to Afghanistan to Bangladesh, Myanmar. We just also announced that we're intending to open investigations in Ukraine. And so in Georgia, we have investigations open in Libya. So there are many situations that we're dealing with, and we have also a very small number of staff. We only have 80 investigators. You might laugh at that. We have 80 investigators. This is smaller than the number of officers working on counterterrorism at the city level in some countries. The London Metropolitan Police has 1,600 investigators, for example, if I got that statistic right. So, and actually we have a smaller budget than some of the organizations that are here with us today as the Office of the Prosecutor. But I won't belabor the point. But the point is that it's not that we're looking as an excuse not to do things, but just that we also are emphasizing that we also need support from state parties and from other stakeholders to also help the court have the means to deliver what it wants to do. What this means for Nigeria is that in the coming period, the prosecutor indeed will have to make some decisions on how to roll out investigations. The current prosecutor, Prosecutor Bensouda from the Gambia, as you know, is ending her mandate in 6 months. There's a new prosecutor coming in. So she still has, of course, the mandate to make decisions on opening new investigations. But also it makes sense that she consults with the new incoming prosecutor on this. And also she's called for state parties to give her the means to do it. If the means do not come, then the prosecutor may have to, for example, decide to terminate some lines of inquiry in existing situations or to complete some of the activities that are ongoing in order to allow the capacity of the office to open investigations in relation to Nigeria and also in Ukraine, as we mentioned also at the same time last week. So these are just very pragmatic considerations. It doesn't mean that the office will not proceed with investigations. It just means that we are having to discuss how we roll out this capacity. And of course, in relation to Nigeria, as you've seen in our reports, hopefully, we believe that crimes are being committed across multiple fronts. Almost every crime within the jurisdiction of the court appears to have been committed in one form or other in relation to war crimes and crimes against humanity under our statute. We recognize that the vast majority of the crimes alleged to have been committed that we have made findings for are attributed to Boko Haram and its splinter groups. But also we do recognize and do make findings in relation to the responses by the Nigerian security forces, and we also do find that they have also committed crimes, war crimes and crimes against humanity. So we make that reasonable basis determination. But also, as we emphasize in our report, our findings are not limited only to the armed conflict, the non-international armed conflict between Boko Haram and the Nigerian security forces. Of course, we have received lots of information and allegations relating to other events, other incidents, other types of conduct. And just to explain that if an investigation is opened, the prosecutor is not limited only to the things that she has looked at this initial stage. Once an investigation is opened, the investigation it's subject to certain parameters. So in our case, for example, we would say we intend to investigate all alleged ICC conduct occurring since, for example, 2009, when the non-international armed conflict began. But it wouldn't be limited to only Boko Haram and the Nigerian security forces in terms of that armed conflict. It would look at any other allegation that fell within the scope of the court's jurisdiction. Of course, for the court to investigate or prosecute, we must be satisfied that these are war crimes and crimes against humanity. We're aware of a lot of obviously violent episodes have happened in Nigeria, but not all crimes correspond to the Rome Statute. So we would have to be obviously focusing on those which appear to be occurring in the context of an armed conflict for war crimes, to be in the context of an associated with an armed conflict, or otherwise a crime against humanity. And so finally, just to say, moving forwards, as I say, we will continue to work in a collaborative spirit with the authorities. We want to be able to encourage them and stimulate them and to maybe be the stimulus that will try to galvanize calls for accountability that you have made and others have made. Maybe our presence at the ICC with an open investigation will stimulate national activities to a different level. But if it doesn't, we also we proceed with our investigations, and we build our cases, and we see what impact we can have in terms of contributing towards accountability. And I very much take the point, as mentioned before. I think for the court as a whole, there will be a need to engage in outreach in the coming period to explain to different stakeholders what is the role of the court, how does it proceed, what are the next steps. And certainly in the interim, absolutely. I mean, we are taking steps during this whole period, even before, to identify evidence preservation opportunities, unique investigative opportunities, operational planning, looking at issues related to cooperation, looking at the security situation. So all of that planning is certainly already well on, in process across all prelim examinations, and that's something that we will be doing as we move forward. I hope that's useful just as a quick overview. Of course, that was very brief, but as I say, very happy to be here and part of this panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rod, for these clarifications, and I think we've all heard as well your call for support. As we have seen, this culture of impunity goes beyond the Northeast conflict. This is not specific to this area or this situation, and this is the moment to let the opportunity to DJ Switch to talk about this huge and tremendous movement around NSAS movement against impunity for police violence. Catherine, it's over to you.
All right, thank you for having me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You see, we have a popular saying in Nigeria, Wahala no dey finish, meaning the problems never end. You see, I grew up in a family of 8 where my parents really had their hand full. They worked to give us the best they could afford: education, Medicare, food, allowances, most importantly, a home. My parents taught us how to respect each other's differences, understand each other, stand for each other, and protect each other. I must say, my brother did take a lot of the blame for my many mischiefs. But unfortunately, in the late 90s to 2000, things took a turn for the worse when the Ishekiris and the Ijos in Warri, where we lived back then, went into war with each other because of a failure in leadership and respect for differences. Many were displaced from their homes and killed. My parents lost a lot, and I had to grow up real quick. This was my first real encounter with insecurity, a lack of accountability, and irresponsibility. Nigeria is home to over 200 million brothers and sisters that are beautifully diverse in tribe and faith. But we lack education, a functional health system, electricity, we lack jobs, security. The basic things that any parent, guardian, and in this case, a leader should provide so that we can achieve our ambitions. Instead, these basic things have been weaponized by our leaders and used against us, used to lure us to do their bidding, used to oppress us, keep us too hungry to be angry, used to kill us. So, dear Agnes, it was indeed hopeful to see the new generation of Nigerians stand up for Nigeria, not religious or tribe-based. But if we don't act, this new generation will be haunted like myself, wiped out, or succumb to the will of a dying generation. But even a magician cannot perform one trick forever, because we, the Nigerian people, were tired. And for the first time, I saw Nigerians stand for each other in protest all over the country. End SARS. Now, SARS is the Special Anti-Robbery Squad Unit, which the government rebranded to SWAT, after disbanding the said SARS over 3 times and twice in 1 year. SARS have a track record of more daylight robbery than actual robbers. They've murdered more innocent citizens than murderers in the society, more rape than the public is even aware of, constantly exhibiting their lack of intelligence and training by harassing Nigerians, either because of how we look, the hair we have, the cars we drive, or if we have tattoos on our bodies. When you speak up and ask what you may have done wrong, they beat you up, lock you up, or kill you altogether. Now, this gave birth to a movement, End SARS, a movement against police brutality, which has since become a much bigger movement against bad governance. And the reason is simple. From the President, General Muhammadu Buhari, downwards, they are all SARS. You see, because this is a government, yes, that would rather silence and kill its citizens rather than be guided by their concerns and their cries. Hide COVID-19 palliatives, mind you, that were donated rather than feed its people. One that would rather spend quality time with his cows rather than address its citizens. The same government that chose to inject rogue elements into peaceful protests rather than protect its people, but choose to cuddle terrorists. It is the same government that froze the accounts of protesters and seized passports, but cannot seem to trace the accounts that sponsor terrorism. It states in the Constitution that the security and welfare of the Nigerian people is the primary purpose of the government. But on the 20th of October, 2020, the Nigerian army, sanctioned by the government, stormed the Lekki toll gate in what I call a first wave of assault. No warning, no dialogue, just guns blazing, shooting into a crowd of the bravest set of people I have ever met. Braver than the men and women trained to be brave, braver than the government officials who sent them there. They shot at us with live ammunition. We braced ourselves, we screamed, we sang, we cried, all while waving our Nigerian flags. You see, as I witnessed people die, I truly believed we would all die. And so I started to live broadcast the insanity on Instagram, and I am not the only one. In a matter of minutes, dreams and futures were lost. Nigerians killed unprovoked. But the commander of the 65 Battalion, Salisu Bello, claimed to have given us water and drinks that night. But that is not even on the same continent with the truth. I have a clip recorded from the live broadcast where you can hear me asking Bello why they were shooting at us with live ammunition. His response was that my coming close to him poses a threat to him and he will act accordingly. Is this the act of someone who gave us water and drinks? I also have another clip from the same night where you can hear a lady's voice asking the whereabouts of the people that had been shot. Further proof that the bodies we saw were taken away by the army present. The army claimed to have cared for us. But when the Nigerians that were on that live, when they called ambulances to assist us at the toll gate, they were stopped and asked to turn back by the army. We were forced to have a crash course on medical procedures, attempting to extract a bullet from the leg of a protester until one ambulance came from the back. So please tell me, what then was their intention if not to kill us? At this point, we had counted 15 bodies. A few hours later came the second wave of assault by the Nigerian police with the same modus operandi, killing, injuring those of us left at the toll gate. The same police also shot at us the next morning. Now listen, this is just one incident. There is Obibo, there's Mpo, there's Zabamari, many more. The Nigerian authorities, under the poor, corrupt and misguided leadership of President Buhari, down to his cohorts, Governor Jide Sanwo-Olu, General Takar Buratai, Brigadier Taiwo, F.O. Omata, Lai Mohammed, and many more. They have all tried severally to deny these events, while in the same breath contradicting themselves. This government continues to fail in doing its duty as what I would have called an elected government, if that was not riddled with corruption itself. And so today, I urge you, as members of part of the global governing body and other members not here present today, to take necessary and swift actions in ensuring justice is served to the Nigerian people. Through your investigations, I believe you will find you will find ample evidence to bring charges against the elements in the Nigerian government. Please, please do not continue to place us at the back burner or say we are not a priority. Do not turn a blind eye to a nation with immense potential to be on the world stage if only these potentials are harnessed and not killed off. As Nigeria is a member of the United Nations, which says membership is open to all peace-loving states, it is evident in that statement alone the state of Nigeria has failed. Our leaders too greedy, too corrupt, and quite frankly, unequipped intellectually, mentally, physically to protect Nigerians or move the nation anywhere. If it is indeed true that the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, can relocate to Dubai, citing insecurity in the presidential villa, Aso Rock, the most secure building in Nigeria, then I ask, where do we, the average Nigerian, go? Mr. Rod, you say your office has about 80 investigators. It was funny when you said it, but I can assure you, millions of Nigerians are willing to help provide all you may need to reduce the potential burden on this request. We only have our voices. That is all we have. As a people, we are using it to sorosoke. So please listen. As Agnes said, the country is a keg. It's sitting on a keg of gunpowder because of all the things that we have been deprived of. I am advocating for all types of peace, but justice. And through justice is the only way peace can truly thrive. It is now your duty to help us show that democracy, accountability does not only belong to a certain group of countries, but to all. As I said earlier, Wahala no dey finish. But that does not mean problems are not solved. The time for action is indeed now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for using this your fame to raise awareness and to fight for this for justice for all. Thank you so much for this. Unfortunately, I think we have now come to the end of the session. I didn't see any specific questions, so I guess I've seen a lot of comments that all of you have probably seen. And so I think we need to end, to conclude now. I would like to thank again.
DJM TV. DJM TV.
Fulani people don't say no, they don't like us.
Welcome to DJM TV.
DJM TV. DJM TV. DJM TV. DJM TV.
Some of the delegates and ask their questions.
DJM TV.